I'm Leah Lane, an award-winning travel writer and author of Places I Remember, Tales, Truths, Delights from 100 Countries. On this podcast, we share conversations with travelers about fascinating destinations and memorable experiences around the world. Our guest is Margie Goldsmith, multi-award-winning travel and culture writer whose new memoir, Becoming a Badass From Fearful to Fierce, is just out. Welcome, Margie, to Places I Remember.
Thank you, Leah. It's good to be here.
Well, we've each been to well over 100 countries, and we've both been travel writing for many years. So I thought it'd be fun for both of us to chat about some of our favorite places and experiences, and both of us share some insights and fun tales with our listeners. But before we start talking travel, I'd love for you to tell us briefly about your memoir and why you named it Badass.
I think because most people always talk about what they want to do, but they never really do it because they're always afraid. And my philosophy in life has always been, since I heard Eleanor Roosevelt say it on a piece of paper, do one thing a day that scares you. So I started doing that, and it always had to do with travel. And the more difficult the challenge became, the more I insisted on doing it. And I consider that a badass, but I didn't start out as a badass. So that's why I call it From Fearful to Fierce.
I read it. It's really interesting. You've had so many different aspects to your life, not just travel writer and author, but business owner. And then you've met so many interesting people. I highly recommend the book. And I know one of your newer pursuits has been writing music and playing bluesy harmonica, or harp, as it's sometimes called. So maybe we'll end with that. But right now, let's talk travel. And this is going to be quite the convo. I asked you to note some of your favorite travel tales, and I'll add my own as well. Let's start with Bhutan. Tell us where Bhutan is.
Bhutan is this tiny little kingdom wedged in between India and China. Most people have never heard of it. It's a place where they say happiness is their national product because they didn't really have anything else to sell in terms of infrastructure. And I went on an adult outward bound invitational trip, which means you're sleeping in tents and you're climbing mountains. And the main highway was a dirt path about as big as 2 feet could walk on. And sometimes the Indian Army would walk up it carrying liquor for the whole season. They'd be there all winter.
Oh, really? What kind of liquor?
Probably rum.
Okay.
And then one day a mother came by leading a pony with 2 little red-faced toddlers on it. And I was just so entranced. And then you'd have to push yourself to the side when you heard the jingle of the yak trains, these big, huge buffalo-looking animals who could squish you. But one day, and I'm a middle of the pack hiker. There were always the alpha males up ahead and the slower people behind. So I'm always hiking alone. And suddenly this group of 18 school children, all in uniform in the middle of nowhere, come up to me and say, hello, hello. And I always try to learn hello and thank you in the language. So I say, Kusan Zamba, which took me a week to learn. And they say, oh, blah, 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 and they think I speak Bhutanese, which I don't. And they start to sing to me. But they sing a song in Bhutanese that's so familiar to me from Girl Scout camp. It's Dear Ears Hang Low. Remember that?
Dear Ears Hang Low. They waddle to and fro. I know that song.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So I sang it to them in English and I showed them the hand motions and they learned all the hand motions. And then I thought, well, what other song can I do easily? So I did Rock My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham. And they all rocked the baby. And it was such a wonderful experience and they're touching my Gore-Tex. They'd never seen fabric like that. They followed me all the way to camp. I would have had them all sleep in my tent with me, but the guide kicked them out.
Adorable.
But I will never forget meeting these children and connecting with them without a word of the same language in the middle of
Perfect. I think some of the best memories are with people and with children especially. I have one little memory when you brought it to mind. I was in Oman, which is in the Middle East, a beautiful country, mountainous country. And I was at a river and these children came by. They asked to take a picture with me. Someone took a picture of us and I got the picture. I looked at it and it was adorable because they're all smiling. But one of the little girls had her hand up behind my head with the 2 fingers, the little international sign for stupid or devil or what. It was the most charming memory. It's tiny, just like yours, just tiny and wonderful. Okay, what about Morocco? You have a memory there.
Well, in Morocco, I was training for a marathon and I was in the Atlas Mountains or the Altus Mountains. I'm not sure how you pronounce them. Very hilly. And you don't wear shorts in Morocco. You don't wear t-shirts, but I'm American and I was wearing shorts and t-shirts because I was training for this marathon and it was hot. So I run all the way down the hill and I'm passing these truckloads of cars of people coming back from work laughing at me. And there were two Moroccan women all in their jalabas and their little pointy slippers pointing and laughing at me. And I thought, okay, this is a little weird. Maybe it's my outfit. Maybe people just don't run in Morocco. So I get to the bottom of the hill and now I start to run up. And I'm halfway up the mountain. And suddenly those two women who had been laughing at me grab a hand each. And we scream all the way to the top of the mountain. And you know that sound they can make with their mouths that we can, which
Yes. Can you do it? Oh, you can do it.
I can't. They
Kind of,
can.
kind of.
And
Okay.
it was the most joyful moment. They had run with this foreigner for the first time in their lives, and I had run with them. And it's those moments that you never, ever forget. That might have been 25 years ago.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I can still see them smiling and us cackling at the top of the mountain.
Right. I can hear it too because I know that sound because I hear it a lot. I guess they learn it early. It's like a happy
Yeah.
sound, really, right?
Yeah. We learned to snap our fingers and they learned to do the screeching from the back of the throat.
Exactly. All right. So how about Mongolia?
I've always wanted to horseback ride. And of course, I never could. That was always for rich kids. So I get to Mongolia and they say, what do you want to do? I say, I want a horseback ride. They say, fine, because it's all open plains. There are no fences anywhere. So they bring me this horseback rider with his horse, and I look at him, and he's got to be 85 years old, and he's got his little cap on, and he smiles. He has no teeth. And I turn to my guide. I go, you're sending me with this guy? And they say, listen, madam, he's the fastest racehorse rider in the country. He just rode 8 ponies in from the West today. You should be so lucky to ride with him. So my knees are shaking. I'm shaking. He takes my horse. He ropes up a rope. He tethers it to my horse. He's right next to me. We are knee to knee, elbow to elbow, arm to arm. I'm holding onto the horn for dear life. They call it the sissy bar. And we take off across the hills of Mongolia. And about every 10 miles or so, you pass a gayer, which is their version of a tent. And everybody's going, ha, 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 ha. They're laughing because it's so ridiculous. The American woman with a brilliant rider. But I did it. And it was fun. Just another moment. You just don't forget those things.
I know. I'm thinking of a moment on a horse too. I was on Lake Louise in British Columbia in Canada, and I wanted to go horseback riding. It's so beautiful, just gorgeous turquoise blue lakes. And so I asked about it. They said, oh, it's very easy. An 85-year-old just rode a horse around the lake. It's fine. So I'm not a very good horseback rider, to say the least. So I got on the horse. I said, well, if someone that old can do it, I could. I was young at the time. And it was 5 hours on the edge of a precipice with rocks falling down. And I just was praying that the horse wanted to live because it was all up to him. And I was so exhausted at the end of those 5 hours, even though I wasn't walking, I was just sitting, that I fell off the horse when I saw the stable. I just couldn't even wait till the stable. I just dropped off the horse. I was so happy. So I know what that feels like a little bit when you're riding and people say, oh, you can do it. It's fine. No problem.
Before I had gotten to this guy in the mountains of Mongolia, I had gone to a national park with a guide, and he said, do you want a helmet? And I said, yes. And he gives me this like 1920s helmet, probably a bike helmet. And the horse is about 2 feet high. He goes, you might think our horses are very little, but they are very fast. They are the fastest horses in the world. Now, you might have to hold on to the sissy bar. And you don't say giddy up. You say chew. So I go, chew. The horse doesn't move. I go, chew. The horse doesn't move. He starts to kick the horse with his whip. Horse doesn't move. I say, let's switch horses. He goes, no. You don't understand. You have the fastest racehorse here. I said, my horse isn't moving. So we switched horses. Same thing. The horse wouldn't move. For 3 hours, he pulled me by the rope with his horse. It was so uncomfortable. And they have these awful wooden saddles. So I think I'm done with my horseback riding days, as are you.
Okay, how about Peru?
In Peru, I had decided to go follow an archaeologist who was looking for Peruvian mummies in the cloud forest,
Of
which is more
course.
like the mud forest because it's so muddy. And
Uh-huh.
a woman had gotten credit for finding these mummies, but this guy, Peter Lerche, who later became the mayor of Lemibamba, was the actual finder of the mummies. So we take off on this trekking trip, and he doesn't wait for us. He's like Peter Pan. He is skipping over the stones. We don't know which way to go. Meanwhile, we're in mud up to our knees, and you have to stop and pull out your rubber boot and start again. And then we stop for lunch, and I go, "Well, where's lunch?" He goes, "Well, didn't you take some crackers on the way out?" And I said, "No." So there was no lunch. But that night, there's this howling going on. And he comes to my tent and he goes, "Can you help us?" I go, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Well, one of our guides who was in jail for killing a man has a horrible toothache. He's in so much pain, we don't know what he's going to do." Well, I had one leftover Ambien from something as an
Oh, no.
emergency. I gave it to him. They were so happy. The next day I was the heroine. They go, "Now we need one for tonight." And I had no more. None of us slept that night. It
Oh,
was very funny.
go to Antarctica. How about that?
Well, in Antarctica, out all the time from your boat, and you walk along the shores, and you have to pass a lot of seals. And sometimes it's elephant seals. They are big, they are ugly, they are mean, they have huge teeth, and I've never been more scared in my life. So our guide is taking two stones and tapping them together and thinking that the noise will stop them. So we keep on walking along like that. And I was just really holding onto his waist, just praying that we could get through this gauntlet. And then another time, we're following Shackleton's footsteps. So we're in a dinghy, but it's got a leak in it. And there's an elephant seal following us. And we're near Elephantine Island, or whatever it was called,
Well, that's appropriate.
which is very scary because it's got big waves. And I was sure that this was a leopard seal. He was going to devour us and eat us. So
I remember elephant seals. I remember the noise.
yeah.
The noise is they bellow, and the smell when you have a lot of them. It's like a men's locker room on steroids. Quite a sensual feast, I would say. But
Exactly.
again, a memory. All these things are wonderful memories. At the time, they may be scary or funny, whatever, but they last. Those are
But
the ones that last.
isn't it interesting that we both remember these things as vividly as though it were
Yeah.
yesterday?
It's not the prepared thing so much, it's very often they're wonderful things, but it's the unexpected.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Mexico. You have a good memory there too.
Okay, so I decided to go to Mexico to take a Curso en Immersión, the
Okay.
intensive, immersive 5-week course in Spanish. And it was right before Christmas. And I walk out into the square of Oaxaca, and you see radishes the size of watermelons and as long as the biggest squash you've ever seen. And they call it the Radish Festival. And it takes place the day before Christmas Eve. And they are carving the most beautiful figures out of these radishes. Sometimes it's the nativity scene. Sometimes it's just someone on horseback. Sometimes it's someone making mola, but it's art. And it's eventually just going to get thrown away. But the shock of seeing something so unexpected
Right.
was just one of those experiences that unless you travel, you're never going to get that.
In some areas, use red as a color in Christmas, but that seems to be a beautiful symbol. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Do they make food out of the radishes after, or do you know, or they just throw them all out?
But there's a lot of food around with radishes that you can eat, but these are art things. I'm not sure if it's the color red or maybe radishes are in season because their seasons
Right.
are the opposite of ours.
Right. It's interesting. I went to a Spanish immersion school too in Antigua, Guatemala, where they speak perfect Spanish. I remember vividly my tutor there. She was a lovely girl from a village, and she walked hours to get there every day. And she was a poet. She showed me some of her poetry, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I brought it back and I showed it around, but nothing ever came of publishing it. But you just never know. This was a village girl in Guatemala who was a beautiful poet. So I remember her. I honor her right now because I haven't thought of her in a while. So thank you for making me remember her.
And
Very
how
special.
is your Spanish?
My Spanish is okay. Así, así.
Better than mine.
Poco a poco. Okay, Easter Island. Tell me.
Okay. Have you been to Easter Island?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so everybody goes for the moai, these
Yes.
big, huge sculptures, which they claim walked to their
Yeah.
places. And they cut down every tree in Easter Island, so you know they rolled them like train
Right.
tracks. But they have a festival called the Birdman Festival. Did they
Yeah.
take you up there?
And I did see the big caldera where the fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so what they do is they keep a virgin down in a cave so she remains lily white, because the winner is going to get the virgin and become chief for the year. And it's all these 19 to 25-year-old boys. They have to make their own raft out of straw, jump off a cliff with a raft, swim as fast as they can using the raft as a surfboard, and get to the island to get the first tern's egg that happens during Easter time, during the spring. They take that egg and they put it on a kind of a handkerchief made out of string on their forehead, swim back through these shark-infested waters, and have to climb back up the cliff. And the first one up the cliff with the egg wins. So the following happens. Everybody's got a knife, and they all try to stab each other with a knife because then the sharks will get them. So that's one way to get rid of them. If they haven't gotten rid of their competitor and the competitor has the egg, they try to grab the egg and they stab them as they're trying to go up the cliff. So they'll fall down the cliff. I mean, it's a horrible cutthroat. And I mean that
Literally.
seriously. Competition. Now,
Like a cutthroat Iron Man
well, that's
of
exactly
Easter
what it
Island.
is. With the prize being the virgin and a chief.
Oh my
So
God.
the Christians banned it when they came in, but they've started it again, and I think Red Bull is sponsoring it now.
Oh my, that's appropriate.
Right.
Okay, that's a memory that's kind of gruesome, but it's vivid. Argentina. How about Argentina?
Argentina, one of the most beautiful countries of the world with so much to offer in terms of architecture and culture and dancing and tango and life on the streets. And I was actually trying to climb a volcano there
Oh,
and
really?
down in Patagonia, and our guide was wearing the typical hand mittens and a wool cap. And we got up to the top of the mountain, and they make a little toast with tobacco and whiskey to the four corners of the world, or the four directions of the gods. And we looked at each other and we both started crying. And he gave me his hat and I gave him my red fleece hat. And he gave me his mittens and I gave him my red fleece mittens. And it was such a connection. I didn't speak a word of Spanish at that time. That was before Mexican school.
Right, right.
And I will never forget that. I still have his mittens and hat.
Oh.
It's always the people, always the
Well, it's always the
connection.
people, except in Argentina, I went to an area, it's a nature reserve called Punta Tombo. I don't know if you've been there. It's the world's largest colony of Magellanic penguins. And it's awesome. If you like penguins, they don't look like the ones in Antarctica. They're smaller. They're the cutest things. They come right up to you. One tried to get in the bus with me. He followed me into the bus. It was so cute. He waited in line. He queued up. And
Oh,
he was standing there. But there are thousands and thousands of them. I went twice. The second time there were not as many. I'm hoping it was just the timing and not the climate change or anything. But yeah, animals also are a wonderful memory for me besides people. How about Canada?
well, I was in New Brunswick at the Acadian Festival in Moncton, which is the
Yep,
middle of nowhere.
yep.
Every house was decorated with the Acadian flag and flowers, and it was like our 4th of July. And there was a parade on the street. And I
Yes, I've been
just,
to that. They bang, right? They bang
yes,
everything. Yes,
yes. Well,
very noisy.
they had a whole drum corps of women, not to mention all the little instruments, toy instruments, and everybody's banging and laughing and screaming. And this drum corps of 12 women comes by. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. I jump into the middle of the fray with my harmonica and just played with them for 3 hours. And it was so much fun. It was no judgment. It was not, are you playing well enough? And it was just becoming part of their culture, I think, is what you and I both do. We
Absolutely.
immerse ourselves into where we are.
Absolutely. And I think if you have a good attitude, you smile at people, people will respond to you wherever you are in the world, whether you speak the language or not, as you mentioned. There are a couple of words you can learn Again, even if you don't learn any words, if you smile at someone and are friendly, you're going to get that back. And I think it's so important today. I'll finish with Finland. Tell
Yeah.
us about.
So I went to Lapland and I followed a Finnish reindeer herder. He put me in like a Michelin suit, of a nice
Mm-hmm.
warm suit, which was made of everything reindeer. They use every part of the reindeer, which they keep in herds. So we drove out by snowmobile to his reindeer herd, which was about 5 miles away in the forest. Don't think that wasn't a cold, bumpy ride. And they used to ski out to these reindeer, which is why their boots are all turned up at the toes, because that's how they put their ski boots onto the skis. So we get out there and he goes, and suddenly hear clack, 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 all the reindeer come. He feeds them. He makes a fire out of rubbing two sticks together and cooks some reindeer sausage. And then we went back and he said, I'm going to teach you how to lasso a reindeer. So he had a little wooden reindeer there and I had to lasso it. But the experience of being with him and learning how important the reindeer are, you never ask a Sami reindeer herder how big his herd is, because that's like asking how much money you have in the bank.
Oh, really? I
So
won't do that.
it's a no-no.
I did do that as well. I remember we had reindeer games where we had races. The thing I remember most about that, this was maybe 25 years ago. It was the first time I'd seen a cell phone. The reindeer herder had a cell phone
Wow.
because I think they started Nokia, I think started in Finland, and they used them because of the distances. And that was the first time I ever saw anyone using one. So that's a
That's
memory.
funny. That's
Anyway,
funny.
these are fabulous experiences. I know you have so many more, some of them in your book, but just endless wonderful things. We're both so lucky to have chosen travel writing as a way of life.
And we're
And
not done.
we're not done. We're still doing it. We've done it a
We're
long time.
slowing down, but we're
Well,
not
but we're
done.
keeping up, down and up. The name of the podcast is Places I Remember. So let's end on a travel memory we shared a few years ago. You were playing your first quote unquote international road trip, playing your blues harmonica in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Canada. I came along as kind of a companion groupie, and you were playing gigs informally. I caught the feeling of how great it is not only to be a musician, but to react with people. It was wonderful. It was so free. And I just was delighted to see how you went up there. And this was at the beginning of your musicianship years ago, but you were up there playing. And I just wanted to know, traveling and playing music, do you have any experiences you want to share? And maybe afterwards, share a little bit of your music?
Sure, I would love to. I bring my harmonica every place I go, and I get in touch with Honer Music, and I ask them to send me 30 harmonicas. And when I'm in third world countries like Mongolia or Papua New Guinea or Myanmar, I ask to be put in touch with a third or fourth grade class, because that's when they're really getting into it. And I give them each a harmonica, and I teach them how to blow in and blow out, and they're joyful. And once when I was in with the Botwi pygmies, I'm having a blank on it, was somewhere in Uganda. I had given the kids the harmonicas the day before, and the next day we were leaving, and I had left my little cabin, and I was walking towards the place where you put your suitcase, and I hear this harmonica in the forest. And I followed the little path, and there's a little 8-year-old boy who's gotten a harmonica, big grin on his face, playing. And it just touched me. It was so moving, because you can change a person's life by bringing music into it. And they have nothing. You know, they will play with stones the way we play with toys as
Right,
children.
exactly. This is a perfect time for you to perhaps play us something as we end this convo. Will you
Okay,
riff a
well,
bit?
as this has been travel, I figured I'd do a very international song.
so great. Margie Goldsmith, travel, culture writer, musician, and author of Becoming a Badass, From Fearful to Fierce. There's no doubt that you deserve the title of your book. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leah, and you are another badass.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Thanks for listening to our award-winning podcast. We've recorded over 100 episodes of Places I Remember, so follow us on any podcast app. And new monthly episodes are also on YouTube with gorgeous video. My book, Places I Remember, is available in print and Kindle, and I read the audio version. Follow my travel writing at Forbes.com. Contact me at the links in the show notes or on my website, placesirememberlealane.com, and keep making your own travel memories.